Alrighty. This is my grandma, and she's pretty old. 70, 71? Yeah, 71. So she has lived through civil rights and many other events in her life. From 1953 to 2025. Still looks young.
Keep it up.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna ask you a background question. That's not the first question. There's 6 questions, but the one. So just give me some basic background information about yourself, like such as where you grew up and early life, so on and so forth.
I grew up here in Lexington almost my entire life.
And did you have any friends that were a minority or anything?
I had one friend that I went to high school with. She was half Hispanic. Her dad was from Texas. Her mom was from here in Kentucky. I have my other friend. She had a disability. She had her hand wasn't formed.
Okay. So
those are the 2 that I can.
All right. So moving on to the actual questions about civil rights. Can you recall any incident that you recognize someone being treated differently based on their skin or race or color or creed?
Not that I'm aware of. I mean, but I grew up in the 60s and 70s, and females weren't treated the same as men or boys. So, but I didn't know any different.
So you were taught. So you didn't know any different.
I didn't know any different.
So if it did happen,
I wasn't really aware of it.
Okay.
I was raised by a single mother.
Crisco, cat, leave it alone. Leave it alone. Leave it alone. You're gonna come over here now, buddy. Alright. So, next question.
I don't know if that helped you or not, dear. It is what it is.
I mean, it works. Next question. So who would you say were your heroes or role models at the time during the period of between 1953 to 1969? Let's give that.
Probably John F. Kennedy.
Figures.
Because he went against everything. I mean, he was Catholic, and that was a no-no to be that outspoken. And he tried to make things great for America. Unfortunately, some people didn't like it and had him assassinated. And I remember seeing all that on TV. The person that did the assassination, then I saw the person that did the assassination get assassinated. And it was live on TV.
He the only one?
I mean, probably some of my teachers, but I couldn't give you their names today. That's been too many years ago.
Okay, next question. Were you involved in any organizations or movement related to civil rights or social change?
No. I wasn't.
You just sat there looking pretty?
Yeah, no. I just worked, Jackson. Got married and had kids. So I never thought of that. Other people were fighting that battle, not me.
All right. Next is, how did national figures such as athletes, entertainers, or politicians influence your thinking about equality?
Well, I know. I mean, Eleanor Roosevelt. I just heard about her. Didn't really, she was quite outspoken and took the forefront. Who else? I mean, I just remember Shirley Chisholm. She was a black female who was a U.S., I think she was a representative, and she represented her constituents until she didn't want to anymore. Probably Queen Elizabeth II. I mean, she had a hard role. And then Princess Diana. I mean, I just didn't pay much attention to that. I was busy living, not worrying about what everybody else was doing.
So you're telling me this may have been a bad choice for an interview?
Yes, I'm saying it might have been. I'm sorry, I'm kind of dull.
At least you have your health.
I do have my health.
So, do you recall when you first heard the significant events, such as the assassination of Dr. Luther King?
I remember the assassination of John F. Kennedy.
Yep.
I was in 6th grade, and we were sent home from school that day. They shut the school down. I remember when Martin Luther King was assassinated again. I was in junior high. It was junior high then. We were sent home again because of the fear of what would happen, especially with Reverend King being assassinated. And the part of town of Lexington I lived in was predominantly black. So you just didn't know how that was going to play out. Those are the two. Of course, I do remember when Armstrong landed on the moon. Those are 3 that stand out.
Like I've asked several times before, how do you remember? I've asked that question several times in the car on the way home.
How do I remember?
Yeah, how do you remember it? Yeah, but
I just remember because I was sent home from school on 2 of those days. I was in 6th grade. It was in 1963. So I had just turned 10 because it was in November. It was spring. It was in April for Martin Luther King, so it was starting to get pretty again. Martin Luther King. I mean, the walk on the moon was in July, and it was televised. So
that's all I needed. Thank you, Grandma.
do you think that will do?
Yes.